Hello, dear listener. Thank you for clicking on this video. The testimony you will be listening to was sent to us by a man who died for several years back, and what he was shown is what is currently happening in our various nations today. Now he wants to share what he was told that everyone needs to do before it's too late. So if you are watching this video right now, I want you to stay with me to the end of this video, because everything that was shared on this message concerns each and every one of you. So please give me a few minutes of your time as I share this testimony with you. But before I begin, we would want to know where you are listening from in the comments section. That way it will be easy for us to connect as a family. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future testimony that would be shared on this platform. If you have done that, may God bless you. Now let's get into it. Hello, Daily Renewal family. The testimony I want to share with everyone today happened about a year ago, and even now when I say that, it feels strange. Time has passed, but the memory hasn't faded. If anything, it's become clearer. I had been dealing with what I thought were normal stress headaches for months. At first, I brushed them off. Life gets busy. Responsibilities pile up. You sleep less than you should. You tell yourself it's just pressure, just fatigue, just another season you have to push through. But the headaches didn't fade. They lingered. Some days they were dull and manageable. Other days they felt like a steady weight pressing from the inside out. I kept functioning. I kept showing up. But something in me knew this wasn't ordinary. Then I started forgetting words. Not complicated words, simple ones. I would be mid-sentence and suddenly the next word just wouldn't come. It was like reaching into a drawer that should be full and finding it empty. I would pause, smile awkwardly, laugh it off. Inside, though, it unsettled me. That's when I finally went to get checked. When the scans came back, the doctors were calm but serious. A brain tumor, pressing against areas responsible for speech and motor function. They explained it carefully. It wasn't the worst case scenario, but it wasn't small either. It had been growing quietly. That's what got me. Quietly. I was still walking, still talking, still living my routine, but something inside my head had been shifting my future without me knowing. Mentally, that's heavy. You start thinking about your family differently. You look at your spouse and wonder what life would be like for them if you weren't there. You look at your kids and suddenly every ordinary moment feels fragile. You begin calculating time in a way you never did before. The surgery they scheduled was to reduce pressure. They didn't call it extremely high risk. They called it delicate, precise, technical. Those words sound reassuring until you realize they mean someone is going to be operating millimeters away from parts of you that define who you are. The day of surgery, I tried to stay light. I joked with the nurses. I remember being wheeled down a hallway under bright lights. I remember the cold air in the operating room and making a comment about it. I didn't want the last words people remembered from me to be fear. The anesthesiologist explained what would happen. The mask lowered. I took a breath. And then, nothing. I don't remember drifting off. There wasn't a dramatic transition. No tunnel. No bright explosion of light. I just became aware. Suddenly, I was standing. I was upright, alert, fully conscious, but I wasn't in a hospital. I was in a space that felt vast and contained at the same time. It didn't have visible walls, yet it felt enclosed. The best way I can describe it is circular, structured, intentional. The air felt still, not stale, not heavy, just still. The kind of stillness that makes you aware of your own thoughts. Around the perimeter of this circular space were figures. I could tell they were people, but their faces weren't clear. They weren't shadowy in a frightening way. They weren't glowing dramatically either. They were simply present, calm, observant. There was no sense of threat, no tension. If anything, there was a quiet sense of order. And what struck me most was how clear my mind felt. The fog that had been lingering for months was gone. No pressure, no headache. My thoughts were sharp, steady, almost tightened. I felt like myself again, maybe more than myself. In the center of this space was a raised platform, not high, just elevated enough to draw attention. On it was something that looked like a horizon. It's difficult to explain. It was like the edge of the world contained within that circular room, and I knew, without anyone speaking, that I was being shown something. I didn't see a person step beside me, but I felt a presence. Calm, authoritative, not overwhelming, not loud, just steady. There was no fear attached to it. It felt secure. The space in front of me shifted, and I saw the Earth, not as a globe spinning in outer space, not like a satellite image. It was layered, as if I was seeing both the physical and the spiritual condition at the same time. I saw nations, but what stood out wasn't geography. It was tension. I saw lines connecting countries, and some of those lines were strained. I saw military movement in certain regions. I saw speeches being given that stirred pride in large crowds. I saw leaders making statements that were cheered loudly, but underneath the applause there was something sharp. I saw media amplifying outrage. I saw economic pressure building between powerful nations. It wasn't one catastrophic event. It was accumulation, like dry wood being stacked quietly in a corner. No fire yet, just material ready to burn. And I understood something deeply. The world is closer to a major global conflict than most people think. Not because humanity collectively desires destruction, but because pride escalates quickly. Miscalculations happen. Retaliations follow. Decisions made in moments of ego can ripple far beyond what was intended. It felt like dominoes lined up too tightly. One push in the wrong direction and momentum would take over. Then the focus shifted again. I saw churches across different nations, worship services, conferences, congregations gathered in prayer and song. At first glance, it looked vibrant and strong, but as I watched more closely, I noticed what was missing. Urgent, consistent prayer for peace was rare. There were prayers for personal needs, for blessings, for protection, for financial breakthrough, for healing. All important things, but there was little sustained intercession for leaders to have wisdom, little steady prayer for restraint in moments of tension, little humble asking for diplomacy to prevail over pride. The presence impressed something on me without words. Spiritual silence increases global noise. When those who believe stay quiet about peace, other forces fill the space with aggression and ego. Then I saw something that shifted the tone entirely. Small lights began appearing in different regions. Groups of believers praying sincerely for their nations, not politically motivated, not angrily, just humbly asking for peace and wisdom. As those lights multiplied, the tension lines I had seen earlier began to weaken slightly. Not disappear, but loosen. Decisions that could have escalated were paused. Conversations reopened. Pride softened just enough to prevent irreversible damage. And I understood clearly that a third world war is not written in stone. It is a possibility. And possibilities are strengthened or weakened by the spiritual climate of the earth. That realization shook me more than the vision of tension, because I realized how often I had followed global news, how often I had strong opinions, how often I discussed politics passionately, but how rarely I had consistently prayed for peace beyond my own immediate concerns. There was no condemnation in that space, no voice accusing me, just awareness. Then I felt a pull, a choice without words. The peace in that place was beyond description. There was no fear, no illness, no uncertainty about tomorrow. It felt whole, complete. A part of me wanted to stay. Honestly, I did, but I sensed clearly it wasn't my time. There was something unfinished about my presence there. The last impression I received was simple, assignment, not dramatic, not loud, just steady. You've seen this for a reason. Then faintly I heard voices, at first distant, like an echo, then clearer. "Sir, can you hear me?" The peace began to fade. My chest hurt, my throat burned. I opened my eyes to bright hospital lights and medical staff moving around me. I was back in recovery, They told me my heart had stopped briefly during the procedure. They had intervened quickly. To them, it was a medical complication. To me, it was more. I didn't immediately share what happened. I kept it to myself for a while. I questioned it. Was it anesthesia? Was it my brain reacting under stress? Those are reasonable questions. But the clarity has never faded. The impression hasn't weakened. It changed the way I pray. I don't pray out of fear that destruction is inevitable. I pray out of responsibility. I pray for my nation. I pray for nations I once only criticized from a distance. I pray for leaders I agree with and leaders I don't, because what I saw wasn't about political sides. It was about spiritual posture, humility over pride, restraint over reaction, intercession over indifference. The feeling I walked away with is this: peace is more fragile than we think, but it is also more influenced by sincere, humble prayer than we realize. And if even small lights can weaken tension, then silence is not neutral. It matters whether we pray. It matters whether we ask for wisdom. It matters whether we choose humility. I went into surgery thinking the greatest battle was happening inside my head. I came out realizing there are larger battles unfolding across the earth, and that ordinary people, quietly praying, have more influence than they understand. That realization has stayed with me every single day since. So if you are listening to me today, please take note of this. Pray for your nations. What I saw is not something anyone would want to see happening. Pray for peace and believe in God. Let us return to our Maker and make peace with Him. Time is running out. The days of the Lord is near, and we can't afford to be ignorant with all the signs we are seeing today. Thank you for listening, and I hope and pray that my testimony will save a lot of people from what is coming and help them change from their ignorant lifestyle to returning to God. Thank you for watching. What I took from this testimony is that he does not claim to know dates. He does not claim to have been given a political roadmap. What he describes is not a fixed prophecy, but a warning about spiritual complacency. In a world filled with rising tension, shifting alliances, and growing instability, his experience carries a simple message. The future is not only shaped by governments and militaries, it is shaped in quiet places where believers choose to pray. So my humble request to everyone watching this video is, please get back to your secret place of prayer. The peace you seek is not only in your government hands. Your prayer helps a lot. I pray that at the end, the Lord will be praised. Thank you for staying with me to this very point. If you made it here, congratulations. Before you go, kindly share this video to your loved ones. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video for more people to see it. If you have done that, may God bless you. Amen. See you on the next one.